You turn my mourning into dancing. Your love changes everything. There's something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes every. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love, something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 Something about your love, something about your love changes everything.
Morning, Rudiman. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I see we already have some people on, which is kind of cool. Looking at the weather today, I'm thinking, oh, another dreary day. Michigan has had the wettest summer, I swear. I have not added water to my pool once. It's crazy. I hardly watered my yard. It's definitely been a weird summer. Everybody's screaming about the heat, and we're screaming about the water. Isn't that funny how that is? Let's see who we have on this morning. Chuck. It's nice to see you, Chuck. I'm glad you're here. And we also have Brian Blaming and Bert Reggiani, and I think that, Ken Gooch. Sorry, just out of the blue, I had to sneeze. Today's verses are from Proverbs 21, 18 through 22. I get this picture in my head of Solomon with this little notepad, because the way the verses are written they're so random, and like today's verses will be this way. And thank you, Chuck. It was not my intention. But anyway, they're so random and out of the blue. We're going to talk about a wicked person, and then we're going to talk about a nagging wife. And I'm thinking to myself, he wrote this down as he went along, and then he never took the time to put them in order, because you'll find he'll do 4 to 5 today, and they'll be similar somewhere earlier in the book. I think the repetition might be on purpose, because we sometimes don't get it the first time. Let's start with 18, verse 18. The wicked become a ransom for the righteous, and the faithful for the upright. There's a lot there. If we look at it, it's similar to Proverbs 11:18. Now you look at that. This one's 21:18 and 11:18. Maybe it's not so random. Where he says, a wicked person earns deceptive wages, but the one who sows righteousness recaps a sure reward. Reaps a sure word. I knew I said that wrong. It kind of reminds me of the story of Achan in Joshua. I think it's verses in Joshua 7 in that area, but it's a story, so it wouldn't want to give you all the verses because it's long. But if you get to Joshua 7, you'll see it. Joshua is about to take the city of Jericho, and they march around, right? We know the story. That's the story. But this side story here is Achan was told. Well, God told Joshua that they should not take any of the precious things. I was trying to think of the word devotional thing. Anyway, from the people of Jericho, they should all be destroyed, and then all the gold and stuff be put into the till for the work of God. So he can grab some of these other things and took them and hid them in his house, buried them in the sand. And what seemed like a huge reward for Achan turned out to be his demise, because the next thing you know, they send troops up to Ai to conquer Ai, and they lose in a battle they shouldn't have lost. And Joshua goes to God, and what happened? God is, you're lying. You didn't follow my word. You didn't follow my commands, and you took stuff that you shouldn't have taken, and it ended up being the undoing of Achan. He ended up being stoned by the nation because he had decided for himself that he was doing God's work, but he might as well take a little profit and a reward for himself. Sometimes our heart isn't in the right place when we do the right thing. So, and I think that, and I thought that was fascinating. And then this is my point for today. Verse 19, better to live in a desert than with a quarrelsome, nagging wife. Yay, me for getting this one. I would know what he's talking about. You imagine Solomon, how many wives did he have? Hundreds? Something crazy like that? So I imagine he wasn't real tolerant with nagging wives. And how much courage that must have took for her. I'm going to leave that one alone today. I think we can skip over that one and just say, yep, I read it. And we can move on and go on to the next one because it's too dangerous. It is funny, though, that we think today's problems are today's problems. And it turns out that maybe they've been around for a while. Verse 20, the wise store up choice foods and olive oil, but the fools gulp theirs down. Solomon's just telling us to be good stewards of what we have. He's just telling us that, God has blessed you. Don't throw it away. That could be more than just olive oil and food. I mean, it could be talents. God gifts you with the ability to speak to children, and you don't. God blesses you with the ability to be with sick and ailing people and comfort them, and you don't. I'm always convicted by the fact that my gifts aren't always used. And I'm always convicted by the fact that it seems like I could do more. A good example might be the prodigal son. He couldn't wait for his inheritance. Had to have it now. And then once he got it, he gulped it all down. Just like verse 20 says, he wasted it on wine, women, and song, and it was gone. And he ended up working in a farm, willing to go back and be a servant. Yeah, no married man alive wants to touch that first time. But he ended up having to go back to his father with his tail between his legs. And in that story, the best part of that whole story is the fact that his father rushed out to meet him. We always picture God as a big, powerful, angry man who, if you get out of line, is going to bump you on the head. And here's the example that Jesus gave of a God that will rush to his children in their time of need, when they're at their lowest point, when they've fell down so many times. Oh my goodness, they've fallen down and they can't get up. God's right there. He's rushed to you and he's standing there right with you. We just don't always look for him. Verse 21. Whoever pursues righteousness and love finds life and prosperity and honor. Matthew 6 says, those who hunger and thirst for righteousness will be filled. Kind of the same. He's asking us to live a life marked with virtues. As I said before, use your gifts. Use the fruits of the Spirit that you've been blessed with. Use them. We go to church every Sunday, and if that's all we ever do, have we really done anything to further the kingdom? We read the Bible, and we understand it, and we study it, and yet we don't put it into action. We don't share it with others. It makes no sense. And I'm sure God's up there going, no, don't do that. Again, and let's relate this to a story in the Bible. There was in the book of Acts 9:36, actually, there was a story of a disciple named Tabitha. Her name is Dorcas. And She was a wonderful person who helped the poor and took care of people and loved people. She turns ill and dying, and they send for Peter to heal her. And he does. She passed away, and he brought her back to life. But the people that loved her sent for Peter. Peter came. I think. What more of a blessing can it be that people will pray for you and love you when you're at the end of your life, and we'll do anything to help you. We have a prayer chain at our church that does the same thing. These girls will drop everything in a moment's notice and pray. We're doing what Jesus asked us to do, right? God asked us to step into the void. And then verse 22. One who's wise can go up against the city of the mighty and pull down the stronghold in which they trust. That one there is cool. That is something. Solomon is giving us examples, right? He's telling us wisdom. This book is all about wisdom. That's what this book is about. It's sharing his wisdom, but it looks in so many different things. We look at verse 19 with it's better to live in a desert with a crossing life. It doesn't say wisdom in it, but it's wisdom. That's the cool part about all these verses. But the wise can go up against a city and pull down the stronghold. Could it be a wall like in Jericho? Could it be a barrier that a young person has put up to protect themselves? Could it be a isolation that an older person has put themselves into because they just don't want to be bothered anybody? There's so many barriers that we get in life that we don't touch on and we don't look at. Wisdom. He breaks. It says that he breaks down barriers, but wisdom can also open doors. Wisdom can calm fears and light paths. It can protect you. Jericho's walls seemed impossible, but they were nothing for God's wisdom. David's giant had the entire Israel army scared to death. But he was nothing compared to God's wisdom. Hanging Jesus on a cross, the Pharisees thought that was the solution to their problems. They thought the wisest men, religious men in Jerusalem at the time, thought this was the solution. They were nothing compared to God's wisdom. We sell evil short, I think sometimes. They're always working against us. They have the devil has a way of telling us things about ourselves that nobody knows. And he has a way of pushing those buttons and filling those cracks to make us believe that we're thinking the things that we're thinking. And all we have to remember is the wisdom in the book that we've been given. You can lay it on every single one of those lies every single time, and you get past it. Okay, before I go into a full message, I'm going to stop. I hope this was a blessing to you. And if you need more help with verse 19, ask your wife. She might be able to help you. I pray this has been a blessing to you. And before I screw up here and don't do the buttons right, have a firmly rooted day. Peace.